Okay, so this is your walkthrough for the ditch worksheet. The ditch worksheet is basically designed like, hey, everybody ditched me at school. I got to walk home. I wonder how long that would take. So now you'll know if you're ever ditched at school. So the first thing you can see here you need to do is to take a guess about how long it'll take you to get home. But you need to do this in a decimal version of hours. So let me show you that. Okay, so say I have 2 hours and 30 minutes is my guess. What that's going to be, because that's actually a half of an hour, is 2.5 hours. Or say I have 2 hours and 15 minutes. Now that's actually a quarter of an hour, so that would be 2.25 hours. And then finally one more example, 2 hours and 45 minutes, which would be 2 3/4 of an hour, which as a decimal would be 2.75 hours. So this is how you need to enter your guess. I would just go with some increment like this. So either go with 15, 30, 45, right, or on the hour. That'll make life simpler for you. Okay, so I went with 2.5 hours for my guess. The next thing you need to do if you read this is you need to find out how fast you can walk. So again, speed is distance divided by time. So you need both the distance that you're going to walk and the time that it's going to take. So in class, and you can do it at school too, we use 10 feet as the distance that we would walk. And the way you find 10 feet at school is the tiles on the floor are each a foot, so you just count those off. If you wanted to use some other length over 10 feet, that would be fine too, but 10 feet is all you need. And then of course if you're at home, if you have some way to measure, you can measure off 10 feet too. So that's your distance. Then you're just going to walk that distance that you've measured off and time it 3 times. So I walk my 10 feet, and the first time it takes me 3.4 seconds, and then I do it again, and it takes me 3.2 seconds, and then I walk again, and it takes me 3.3 seconds. And again, you need to do it multiple times. I mean, you can fake this if you want, but it's important that you realize when you're doing science or you're trying to make sure you have a good value, you don't just trust one test. You always want to run a couple of tests, more than one. Anyway, then you need to average these out so you can see what your average time is. And this is where I want you to show all your work. So please show all your work on this worksheet. So it should look something like this. So 3.4, 3.2, 3.3, I add them all together, I get 9.9 seconds. Then I take 9.9, I divide it by 3, it gives me an answer of 3.3 seconds, which I put there in average time. Okay, and so now I need to find my average walking speed. I now have my distance, 10 feet, and my time, 3.3 seconds. And so I'm going to use the equation, oh, no, that's right, sorry. I'm going to use the equation V equals D over T. And so I have both my distance, which was 10 feet, and I have my time, which was 3.3 seconds that I walked the 10 feet. And so that gives me a velocity of walking speed, or how fast I can walk, of 3.0 feet per second. And I'll put that over in my average walking speed. Now, average walking speed in miles per hour, you're going to need to convert feet per second into miles per hour. So the easiest way to do that is with Google. So if you just go to Google and you type it in, it will look something like this. So you can see I just put in 3.0 feet per second in miles per hour. You can do into or lots of different phrasing. You'll just have to trial and error it. But just remember you can do this. Google convert anything. It's really super handy in all sorts of random situations that this comes up. So that is how you will convert yours into miles per hour, your walking speed. You can see mine was 2.0 miles per hour. So I plug in my Google result here, 2.0 miles per hour, and then I need to go back to Google and find out the distance from school to my house. So again, I'm going to pull up Google, and you can see here, this is what usually your Google Maps direction stuff looks like. And I just put in the school's address, 2101 North Twyman Road, Independence, Missouri. And then if you were thinking about TPing me or something, this isn't my real address, so don't bash this person with eggs or toilet paper. But I put in 2006 East 14th Street North, Independence, Missouri. And then it gives me different pathways. You can pick any path you want, but ultimately whatever path you pick, you pull the miles from. It also gives you time, but that's time to drive. And if you click the little man up there, it would give you time to walk. But again, that's just what Google thinks you walk in. You actually have a walking speed, so we're going to use that. So anyway, from this, I pull 4.1 miles. Okay, so I'll go ahead and plug that in. 4.1 miles. Then I'm going to use my velocity equals distance over time equation again, but I'm going to rearrange it to solve for time. So now it's t equals d over v, and then I plug in my distance home, 4.1 miles. I'll plug in my velocity that I walk, 2.0 miles per hour, and that gives me an answer of 2.1 hours to walk home. So I'll plug that in over here, time to walk home. And now I've basically solved the problem. The only thing left that we're going to do, just to practice, because it's good scientific practice here, is finding percent error, which you'll often do when you do a lab of some sort. So percent error is your result minus the accepted value divided by the accepted value. So in this case, our result happens to be our guess. We're comparing our guess to what we actually calculated. So let's write it in here. So in this case, my guess was 2.5 hours. Then I subtract from that what I found, or the accepted value, which is my time to walk home we just calculated, 2.1 hours. And then you can see this is surrounded by absolute value signs. So if for some reason your numbers come out where you would get a negative value, they didn't for me, but if they do for you, just ignore the negative. And then I divide it by the accepted value, which is again the 2.1 hours that we calculated. And I take my result times 100, and when I punch it in my calculator, I get 19%. And that is my percent error. Oops. And that is your walkthrough for the ditched worksheet. If you have any other questions, just make sure you ask me in class.